Welcome to TimSold Talks. Join us as we dive into all things real estate, talk about business, food, cars, and much more with industry experts. Dream it, believe it, achieve it. All right, welcome back to another episode of TimSold Talks, where we talk about real estate, cars, businesses, have some food, have some drinks, and just talk about life and see how everything's going. So I want to welcome my special guest today, Cam from Camstruction. He's been a longtime friend and a personal partner of mine, and he's actually done a few of my homes as well. So thank you very much for coming today, Cam. Before we begin, I want to show you these cool milk pudding treats that we got here. You can see they're they're from J-Town, from across the street from us.
Nice.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. It's something to celebrate the Chinese New Year.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
You got some syrup and dig in, give it a shot, give it a try.
Well, I've never tried something like this.
Yeah, my kids love this. Oh, shoot. That right there. We'll kill that. We'll edit that part.
Move your bottle to the
Little rock sugar. It's a little messy, but I've heard my kids love it. They say it's like really good. So
Let's give this a try.
give it a try, man. Happy New Year's, by the way. Ooh, a little wobbly. What do you think?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Sweetness is perfect.
pretty creamy, like that milk pudding. Yeah. So, while we're eating this, I know it's gonna be a bit hard to talk, but that's part of the fun of the show. So, I just want to kind of tell our audience that don't know about you, kind of what your background is, what you've been doing, how'd you get into construction and renovations, and what kind of projects you're working on right now.
Okay, so I'm Cam.
Huh?
I've been doing renovations right now for 23 years.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I started to do renovations when I was in my teens.
Wow. Yeah, it's more than half your life, man.
Oh, yeah. Just learn as you go. Constantly learning.
How'd you get into it? Like as a teenager, like.
So my family owned a glass and windows company. So like all my life I was in the trades.
Yeah.
And one day when my dad brought me to like his clients' projects to look at like jobs and stuff like that, I saw that there's a lot of nice houses out there that are being built, and I just wanted to learn something different. So I got into building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So can you build everything now, or like what's your specialties in?
Yeah. So like I learned my trade from one of my dad's good friend, which is a licensed contractor, and dedicated my entire life to working in construction to learn the trade until I got better and just took on more responsibilities.
Yep. And you're licensed, right? So tell our audience what that means. Like, what does that entail?
So basically, licensed contractor just means that they're registered through the city, and if something were to happen, then you could find him, and he's liable for the work that he's done.
You have insurance, right?
Yeah, you have insurance. You get your insurance. You get your company registered, and you just do good work and maintain that. Nothing goes wrong.
Yep.
And every 3 years we go through like a criminal background check. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, every 3 years we have to go get our criminal background cleared. So in order to maintain our license.
As opposed to, for our audience members that may not know, a lot of fly-by-night guys, the contractors that say they're licensed, but they have no proof, and you show up and they're not even there working on the project anymore, right? So,
there's plenty of those stories where the clients get the deposits to the contractor and promises, and all of a sudden the contractor's gone with the client's money, and there's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And this is before like ratings and all that, like way back then. When they disappear with your money and deposit, it's gone forever.
Yeah, you can't trace. They
can't
disappear.
really
The
trace
ghost,
them.
right?
So like we did a lot on all referrals. Like referrals were the main things for us contractors who work with people. Yeah. So like it was all word of mouth. There was never any advertisement from the very beginning of us working.
Wow.
Yeah.
Since 20
So,
years
like,
ago.
We're what you call like hidden gems. If you knew us, you knew us. If you didn't, well, it is
Tough.
what it is.
Yeah, tough luck to you,
Yeah,
right?
there's too many people out there, and you can't really help everyone. At the end of the day, it's like less and less people want to go into the trades.
Yeah.
So finding helpers is like a lot harder than
One
it
of the
were.
pain points. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the constant struggle that like as contractors we just don't have the motivation for like people to stay in the trades. And it's just very hard to sustain that.
But why do you think that is? Because I heard trades are very valuable.
It's a craft.
Yeah.
A lot of times like it takes years and years and years just to learn one specific craft. And most times it's just commitment that people cannot go through. It takes like a good 15 years to train a good contractor. Yeah.
Wow.
In all the fields to cover plumbing,
Such as,
structural,
yeah.
framing, plastering, drywall, everything really.
Yeah. Okay. And, apart from how do you get the qualifications for those licensing to be a plumber? Do you have to go to trade school or how
For
do you?
me, I got my license through working like as like a journeyman, like through hours and hours of work. So like,
So hands-on.
yeah, hands-on with my mentor, and then went to the licensing office, did a few tests. It was pretty easy, surprisingly. It was just like verbal tests and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then they gave me my license.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe behind the scene it was like 9,000 hours of like, work and referrals, right?
Yeah.
And
That's like
from
hands-on.
there on, I had to register like my previous company's registration and stuff like that. So they probably did like a background check on if you really done that much hours in order for them to clarify and give you your license. And then from there on, you just buy your insurance and keep your company going.
Okay. So then for our audience, for them that are trying to explore, hiring a contractor or the process, how do they verify the contractor that they're dealing with?
I would say stick with referrals.
Referrals?
Like, yeah.
Okay.
Reputable contractors, referral is best. But the thing is, like, use a little bit more time and be patient with your builds, because the guys that are good they're not always there. They're not always on
There's such
standby
demand,
to do
right?
work.
Yeah.
They're high demand. Sometimes it just takes months to wait for them. But if you expect to call your contractor and him to start work next week or next month, it's impossible. There's a lot that is being coordinated, logistics of a build, sub trades. Everybody has to be in order to
Organized and
complete,
arranged.
the entire build. So like it just a lot of time,
Yeah.
a lot of meetings, and a lot of back and forth where there's
Yeah.
prices.
Speaking of that, like, why don't we tell our audience what would a typical project kind of like milestones look like? From the beginning to the middle to the end. How would that kind of like walk me through it? Like as if you're pretending I'm a new client and we're trying to get my house renovated.
So like depending on like if you need to do like structural work, right? Or the type of build we're going for. Are we just going for a budget build, or are we going for like a build where you're going to stay there for a very long time?
So we're assessing the need of what the client wants first,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
flip or a long-term permanent use, like end user, right?
Exactly.
So-
It's all on your basically budget that you want to build a house.
So tell me what's the difference between like someone that's just flipping or someone that's really going to stay there for long term? Like what would be the differences in questions,
The difference
or scope?
is what you're selling, really. Like at the end of the day, it's like, are you going to sell that property later on? Are you planning? Like, when's the next time that you're planning to sell this place where the materials will gauge how much money you can up the price of the value of your house?
Can you give us an example of that? Like between a flip and then a permanent use, like what would be the difference? Like you'd quotes or your advice to clients?
it'd be like price and time that is needed to spend onto the house to increase the value of the house, right? So like say you put in
Floors,
150,000 to a reno to restore a house, and the value of it has gone up an extra like 300,000. So like technically you're gaining an extra 150,000, right, on 150,000 that you've spent. So like we're trying to up the value of the house by cosmetically, basically making it better, upgrade, more modern, more clean looking, decorated, and then
I mean, like to go into that point, like if you're, for a flip, I think, we've done it with ours, you're just changing floors to maybe laminate or and like engineered hardwood, right? You wouldn't necessarily go for the full 8-inch wide quarter panels on all the all around, or the hardwood flooring, right? So, that's some considerations I think you'd help guide the clients on when they're trying to when you're trying to see how much to quote them, right? Because if it's for a flip, it's a quick fix, maybe paint the wall, some minor cosmetics, put it back on the market, make your quick buck, and then move on to the next project, right? For
there's many different types of builds that we can approach, right? And then it's just who we're trying to sell it to at the end of the day.
So when you say a couple of that, so you're finding out the needs of the client at the very beginning and assess, what the quotations will be, and kind of like, do you give advice or do you give design cue, or like what's your kind of role in that part?
For
there?
us, we stay very neutral. Like as builders, like we don't pick colors for people, as we're not designers. There'll be a conflict on our end if we pick the wrong thing, then we'd have to do it again. So usually what our client wants. But like usually like now modern day people like clean canvases. So like mainly clean white paint throughout. And then we'll use like furniture to decorate. And then the designers and stagers usually do a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, that's the stagers, they're also, design pros as well. But such as, with yourself, when you're working on the build out of the house, like how do you get the vision? How do you sell your client on their vision? Or how do you come up with that process? Like
the vision, is entirely the client, really.
The client,
we just build what they want. They have a vision, and we just build it. We just make sure it doesn't fall apart, and how long it should last, like internally. So like material wise, like selection, like from the very beginning, how long are we staying there? Are we going to be using material that will last longer, or are we going to use something that we not have to take care of it after like 5-6 years? Right. And then, it's not our responsibility anymore. It's the next person's to take care of it.
Speaking about your clients' visions, have there been any kind of like peculiar cases? Because obviously a vision is great to have, but the execution part, the engineering part of it comes into play as well, right? Like, do I put a water fountain in my basement or something like that? I don't know. What's some of the craziest projects you've had to work on?
Well, I've craziest project I've worked on. Let's see. Well, maintained a lot of like commercial property, malls and stuff like that. Did multi-million-dollar mansions. They still break the same way. Like the bigger the property, just means more maintenance. Really, by the time you finish the front end of the house, the rear is starting to break. By the time you finish the roof, the flooring is starting to go. So it's an ongoing process of maintaining. The bigger the property, the more the maintenance.
I think that's some of our audience members may need to be aware of that too, because a property is a property. It doesn't matter if it's like, $1 property, $100 property, $1 million property, $100 million. It's just building constructions that you're using to apply to it, and those materials wear and tear, right? Just like everything else.
We go through winters, we go through freezing and thawing. So like water leaks happen. So we're constantly improving the building envelope, but that's just the way it is. There's plenty of new builds right now that are getting a lot of deficiencies, like because the building is so fast now that they just pump out stuff that looks proper but is okay to have deficiencies, just callbacks. And they're
Just taking a
prepped for
gamble on it, right?
callbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like before. Things were built to last. But eventually the style goes away. So then there's the conflict. Things that last go out of style, and then we want a new look.
Can you give me an example of that? Like, what have you seen over your 20 years?
I've seen houses down at the Bayview and Shepherd area that are honestly like 70, 80-year-old houses, but the tiles, the tubs back then, the wood joists are a lot thicker. The tiles are really solid. Like the tubs, the cast iron tubs that weigh like 300-400 pounds to lift out, just a bathtub. Very well built back then. The construction, very heavy duty. Yeah, it takes a lot to demo those old houses from back then. Just the builds are very, very sturdy.
So what's caused them to change that now for the newer homes? Like, what do
Just
you
the
think?
style, really.
Just the style of
Yeah,
it?
just the style of tiles. Now we like bigger tiles. We like bigger planks on like the hardwood, stuff like that. Maybe it's because we have better machinery, better engineering.
Now?
Yeah.
Or-
So like the transition.
So what I thought, when we go into homes, you see a brand new home. I'm often hearing from our clients that they don't seem to be as well made, or things seem to fall apart a lot faster compared to 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When the homes were built in like the 90s. Have you seen any of that? Or is it like, regulations or codes or just people cheaping out?
we do have our inspectors to inspect it, but like some they can only see what they can see. A lot of times there's certain things that they do miss, and nobody is perfect. So we'll have like missing strapping on like 3-inch sanitary pipes. So like as the bathroom, the toilet gets flushed, there's like a vortex that happens, and then the cyclone of water rattles the 3-inch pipe because a few straps were missing, like water pipes like rattling here and there. It's just construction nowadays is all engineered for fast. So then there's a lot of callbacks.
Okay.
Yeah, things just don't last like they used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about that, some of the complexities of project, like what's the most challenging project you think you've worked on?
The
Like
most
to date?
challenging
Yeah.
project.
Why was it challenging?
It would be stuff that requires a short period of time to complete. Like
give
like
us an
when I did
example.
like smart style for Walmart's hair salons and stuff like that. Like I did a good few.
Yeah.
It was like 1 week. They gave us 1 week time to do demo and rebuild, but everything was like pre-made. But like we only had like 1 week time, so like we're on the hour. Like a lot of OT, but
Yeah.
it's just a quick push. But it'd be like somewhere like very far, Timmins, Ontario.
Oh, you have to go that far?
Oh yeah, we work all over.
Did you like stay there for a few months, or did you drive up?
Yeah,
or
usually out of town work. We'll stay up at microtels for about like a week.
yeah,
Yeah,
to pump
until
out
the
work.
project's finished, and then we'll come back. Yeah, this will be all over Ontario, Brockville, Aurelia, Barrie, all over.
All over, right?
Yeah.
So when you work all over Ontario, like where do you get your supplies from?
So we just get our supplies mostly from the hardware stores all around,
Okay.
like
So
Rona,
like Rona, Home Depot.
Home Depot,
Okay.
stuff like that. Like
So
stuff
then-
that are easy to find, and warranty is easier to deal with. So follow-ups and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's just less headache. CSA products, so like you don't have to have any worries when it comes to like the standard of the material.
Okay. And you talked about hotels, and you tell me before we got on the air, it's like you're working on a few hotels right now, or what's?
Yeah. Like recently, I'm working on a Hilton hotel, the one that is located at on Woodbine, just 407
Nice.
area. Yeah,
All
we
right.
did a few Hiltons, the one downtown.
Yeah.
and then
Some major projects.
yeah, ongoing.
How long do
nonstop.
those projects take? Like you're doing a refurb or?
So
or-
like renovate those those hotels would take about 6 months time.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And that's a complete, like, you're going in there and refurbishing
Yeah.
the rooms or? Yeah.
Basically remove everything, but like our team is bigger now. So
Yep. Yeah, it's great to hear.
yeah, currently we have like 10 guys on the go at that project.
Amazing.
And just delegate people really. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're working right now. You're here doing a podcast, right? So
Yeah, I'm just here for a short podcast, and then after that, I'll head back.
you head back out. Yeah. What are the hours like for some of the, for some of our audience that aren't really familiar with contracting hours? Like
Contracting
7 days a
hours.
week, 9 to 5? Or
So
what,
when
what do you
I
guys-
started, I'd work 6 days a week, and it'd be like a 10-hour day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
like it's a long day.
Yeah.
And then usually, like when you're out, you're probably out for about like 12 to 14 hours, depending on the drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's all over the GTA that we work at.
Yeah.
So like sometimes we'd be at Milton for like a month or two. Sometimes we'd be at Barrie for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's like a lot of commitment like that clients do need to see too when
Yeah.
it comes to like the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes not everybody lives close to you. So
Yeah.
like you got to expect like when you live at Barrie, it takes people about an hour and 20 minutes to get to your house
To get
every
the
day.
sites, right? Yeah.
And it takes them an hour and a half to go home every day. Right?
Yeah.
So like it's a lot of travel
It's
and
a
you're burning a
travel.
lot of gas.
Yeah.
And sometimes like to get things done, you have to pay to drive on the 407 just to
Just
to get
the
things
site.
done.
Yeah.
It's like you're missing some material. Well, the quickest way
Yeah.
is to pay to buy time.
And speaking of buying time, like, how has technology impacted what you do? Have you seen it impact?
Oh yeah, a lot. Yeah,
Give
a
us some
lot
examples,
of
yeah.
like homes. A lot of stuff are automated. Like now we have our phones with us now. So like
Yeah.
most stuff, like even from like say your shower faucet, you can have Alexa control the temperature of your shower faucet.
Really?
So
Wow.
just as you get home, the shower's turned on and warmed up for you.
Yeah.
And then you walk in, all your lights are on.
Busy
You
man.
walk in, all your lights are on.
Yeah.
All your heated floors all warmed up for you.
It's a smart tech, right?
Yeah, everything is smart tech now, really.
Mm-hmm.
So like we've innovated a lot.
Yeah, light switches, doors, and
Light switches,
automated
doors, those are like
taps
almost like
and-
basic right now.
Yeah.
So like more stuff on like the voice control.
What about tools that help you with your job? Like I've seen some of your gadgets and
There's a lot of really good tools out there, and those are my toys.
Yeah.
Really, that's my passion. It's
Yeah.
like when you have the tools, you do good work.
yeah.
But then the only thing that will be able to like do the good work is if you maintain it, keep it sharp,
Yeah.
right?
Constantly update yourself.
You
with it.
constantly have to update yourself, and
Can you give us an example of one of these tools? I
These
think the
tools.
ceiling ones, the sanding of the ceiling
yeah,
ones.
like
I always found that fascinating.
The fest tools, like the dust extractors right now. The setup is just like
For the audience, I don't know what those are. Can you kind of describe it? Like what does it help
it's
solve?
like a power sander that
Yeah.
helps like sand drywall where most of the dust are sustained. Most of it, not all of it, but most of it. Yeah. So like just better working environment, less cleanup, more efficient.
What was that machine I saw when you go on the popcorn ceiling? Like,
Yeah.
how do you what was that?
That's the Planex. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's the power sander.
Yeah, because I had a few kind of like contractors work for my properties before, and before I met you, I saw an older school team, an OG in the business, and he just hired a bunch of guys to come in with sandpaper, and they were like sanding the ceiling,
Oh, yeah.
trying to get rid of the popcorn. took maybe like 3 or 4 days to do that, to get the main floor popcorn ceiling all wiped out.
Yeah.
But then when I met Cam, and then I saw him come up with one guy, looks like a Ghostbuster, had the backpack and that it looks like a long kind of extended swivel, and then you're on the back, boom, and like took like 3 hours, and you were done.
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
floor.
Yeah.
Like
it's
you know.
the speed efficiency of the work. Really, I've evolved. I've evolved the way I've worked over the years. Like for a very long time since I worked for my boss, we never had a power sander. We never had a dust extractor.
Yeah.
It was all by manual.
It's all
it was
old
all
school, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was all a sandpaper pad
Manual.
and a hand pad, and that's all you got. But then, like throughout the years, I've gone to like building conventions, and then I've seen all these new tools that they're displaying, and a good long time ago, I got into the system and just started to learn how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like very early adapting at that time. Like these power sanders, not much people had them.
Yeah, you go to conventions. Like, what's the next one you're going to?
The next one should be, let's see, the build conventions are usually in December. One just passed. Usually I'll go on to one build convention once every 2 years. I'll head up to the build conventions to update myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, to see what new gadgets are out there. Right now, everything is all on like robots that help scan and survey the area.
Mm-hmm.
So like, more sophisticated like machines now.
Yeah. And has AI been brought into this this field yet, or industry?
At the moment, no.
Not
But
yet.
like I'm starting to see some
Yeah.
more like of like robotics painting machines and what else? Plastering machines, but like I don't see it being able to replace humans anytime soon.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Who knows, right?
You never know.
Yeah. That would solve your labor problem, wouldn't it?
Uh,
The contractors.
We'll have to see where it goes, because there's just so many homes out there.
Yeah.
So many properties, so many like commercial property that needs to be built. Like it's just ongoing. And the thing is like the buildings will get older, and honestly I would say every 25 years we're doing a update, revamp.
Yeah.
Like things just break, really. They don't last forever.
Yeah, just the normal wear and tear cycle.
It's just maintenance, really. Yeah, like we have like deflections that happen, and we have expansion and contraction. So like sometimes it all depends on how you live at your property.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of it, well, you neglect it, it will just break quicker. Yeah.
Speaking of that, have you only worked in Ontario, or like have you seen like climate differences between like, you know, here in the US or other provinces? Like
all over.
What
all
needs
over.
to be, you know, for audiences to understand that? What needs to be considered when you're kind of like designing a new build? Or
So usually when we build, we always think of the weather pattern at that country or that area. Are they going to be in extreme heat? Are they going to be in extreme humidity? Are they going to be in extreme cold, snow? How much snow? Snow loads.
Yeah.
Right? So even like the houses that are in different regions of Ontario get built differently. So then that's why you have your area inspectors that tell you, oh, okay, say this is the greenbelt area, the pitch of the roofs have to be steeper because we have a lot of snow at this area. If we have flatter roofs here, the snow load will be way too much for this house to carry.
The load on top of
Yeah. So
roof,
like the style of build, usually our building inspectors of that area, that region will tell us. So like if you want to build anything, you could build, just get permission for it. We get the permits for it.
Yeah.
We get the engineers to draw it out, draft it out, do all the calculations. And then us as contractors, we come in, we look at what needs to get built, find all the materials, find all the people, source it all together, and then assemble it. And then as we build, we get clarifications from our building inspectors to make sure that, it's building according to our specs. And after everything is done, then our inspector will ask for usually like an engineer's sign off letter that states that, okay, this building is building according to your specs. And then they'll usually get a sign off letter, and then inspectors have inspected. They kept it all on file, and then that's how the building process is. A lot of people don't see that.
Yeah.
So what needs permit and what does not need permit, a lot of people don't understand.
That's where you guys come in, right?
That's where we come in and we clarify. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to solve the problem and find an answer. So if the contractor is good, usually what they'll do is they'll source out all that information for you and help you guide you through your build.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. There's no shortcut. It's just plan longer and be patient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Switching topics a little bit, there's a new regulation that allows, Ontario households to have laneway homes, right? So one individual lot can have up to like 3 units on there, and very popular out west, the laneway homes at the back. Do you see any of that being started, or have you started working on any of those projects here in Ontario?
There will be for sure. Yeah. Now that like the amount of land that we have is a little bit less, and affordability for people to start, it's going to be harder. So I would say we're going to start to see more of those.
Yeah. What are the challenges with those, do you think? Or positives, like the pros and cons?
Just get the right paperwork for it.
But there's no paperwork now because they're allowing it now.
I would say still go through the city, right? And then when you get the permits for it, it gets them information that the city has like a drawing down. Like, safety aspects of it is key.
Okay.
Yeah, like say if there's no plans and layouts, if an accident were to happen where like say fires happen, firefighters go in without being able to see the layout.
They don't know what's going on.
What is laid out in there. Yeah. What's in there? They're going in blind. A lot of times, like when you're going in a house that is on fire, it's dark. There's no electricity. They shut off all the power. There's smoke.
Yeah.
The only way for firefighters to actually know is to really have a plan.
The plan in place.
At first, what's in there.
Yeah. And what do you think about those prefabricated homes? That's very popular overseas. I haven't seen any here yet, but sounds like it's kind of like, it minimizes cost. It's easy to assemble, very transportable. Have you have any experience with those?
Prefab, if it's made in Canada, yes. But if it's made in other countries, I'm not sure of. But like as long as it's rated for this type of climate.
Yeah, right? That's probably the biggest difference, right? Yeah.
But like I would still stick with like the solid built homes. Yeah.
Why is that? Just comfort or
just comfort wise, yeah.
Comfort?
More sturdy. Just feels more solid and sturdy.
Okay. Switching focus a little bit. If you were to renovate something in your own house, what would you renovate right now?
What would I renovate?
Yeah.
I would renovate my kitchen a little more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Update it or
kitchen usually is like 50% of a home's budget. It takes out a big chunk of
Can you explain why that is for the audience?
Well, with like the details of like a kitchen, right? You got like your backslashes, your quartz countertop, your cabinetry, your sinks. All that is a lot of money in a house, when you're doing renos. Yeah.
Would you say that's probably the most common renovation project for you or for your clients? Or
bathrooms and kitchens are the two main things that people have trouble with. Yeah, and it's usually these two things that they have trouble with deciding on material and budget.
And budget, eh? How small of a budget do you need, and how big of a budget can you go up to? On average, like a typical detached house here in Markham.
I would say for a bathroom.
Yeah.
It ranges.
15,
I would say 15. 15.
For a complete refurb going there.
15,000 is a good number
point
to start, and then plus minus a little bit here and there. You could do it for cheaper, but I mean, at the end of the day, like the material won't be that great. Right? Yeah. But then if you want to increase the value of it by a little bit more and appealing to the next buyer, you have to spend a little bit more. Like the custom showers and like the thicker glass and like small little details that just cost time. But like without these details, it won't drive up the
appeal of it,
value,
yeah.
the value of the
value
build,
of it.
really.
Okay. So about
Yeah.
10, 15 for a toilet, or washroom, bathroom. What about kitchen? How much should
Kitchen, I would say, would
your
run you
budget?
easily like
50?
50, 60,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe even pushing 70, depending
Pushing
on some of the pantries and details and stuff like that you want.
And
Like the islands now, like people want waterfall here. It's a lot of material, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
But,
only
like-
but the materials that you choose, right? Or
Yeah, it is. If they're brand name materials and stuff like that. Yeah, like I'm
be-
seeing like bigger tiles now. Like a lot of people like their kitchen big tiles. Like I would say 38
about, like, 2 by
inches,
4?
almost like a 3 foot by 3 foot,
3 by
or
3s.
some of them are even like 42
4 by-
inches by like 18 inches, like rectangular, big sheets of tiles now.
Yeah. Why is that? Why do you think that's the trend again?
Less grout lines, cleaner
okay.
look,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like more streamlined, I guess. Yeah, bigger sheets.
Yeah.
But it does have their problems, expansion and contraction, deflection happens. So like cracked tiles here and there.
Yeah. If the motor underneath isn't
Yeah, well,
installed
we use
properly.
like an uncoupling membrane, but
Okay.
still deflection happens.
Mhm.
And like I said,
Explain that to our audience. What's an uncoupling membrane?
so an uncoupling membrane is like a membrane that allows the tile to sit on top of, where movement is allowed underneath. But if there's way too much deflection, then like movement from the subfloor, eventually the tiles will have a chance to crack.
To crack.
Yeah, but like with the uncoupling membrane is already like prevented.
So it allows a bit of movement, like shifting underneath.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like those Japanese homes that like don't
Yeah.
fall during an earthquake or something, right? Or-
Yeah.
Okay.
They used to have like they were saying like back in Europe they had like all the cathedrals that were built with on a bed of sand, and that bed of sand used to be the uncoupling membrane. So like they went through war and stuff like that where bombs had been dropped on the entire country, yet none of the tiles moved because as the shock waves hit the ground, the uncoupling was underneath and
Absorbs
it
it.
just moved under.
Yeah.
So like those tiles did not break, and then they implemented that uncoupling into today's build.
Wow.
And
That's
yeah,
fascinating.
so far so good.
So that's an old school way of doing it. So now it's the
Yeah,
newer.
yeah. Uncoupling was,
Uncoupling.
but well, because like nowadays we bond our tile onto like say the subfloor or the concrete floor. Before we didn't used to do that.
Yeah.
And now we did. We
No.
came out with like mortar. So then that mortar will have like movements. It will expand and contract. Even the tile expands and contracts.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, and
Cool.
through different
Yeah, I didn't know that.
temperature,
Yeah.
materials move. Your house move. Yeah. People don't see that,
don't
but
see
like
that,
it's
yeah.
so slow. Like the freezing and the thawing. Your house is uplifted in the wintertime, and then in the summertime as it thaws, it sinks.
Sinks in.
And then it's constantly breathing. Like say you're blasting the heat in the wintertime. Well, guess what happens to all the lumber in your house? It starts to dry.
What's up, right? Yeah.
So then you have to have like a humidifier in
Yeah.
order to like re-regulate the humidity content. Otherwise, all your lumber creaks and cracks and dries and torques and twists. Yeah.
And that's kind of
Movement
like the
happens.
paint too, right? I think I've heard if your paint isn't cured in when you're painting it on at a certain temperature,
Yeah, it would.
cracks.
It would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cannot dry too quick.
Yeah.
Slow dry.
Slow dry is the best, right?
Oh yeah, slow dry. So, like some things you cannot rush.
Yeah.
Like plaster, you can't rush that to dry. Cement, you can't rush that to dry. You dry too quick, it shocks it and it cracks.
Yeah.
So like some things you just have to slow dry it.
Okay. Got it. As we coming towards the end of our show here, reflecting on your experiences, what do you find most rewarding most rewarding part about your job?
The most rewarding part of my job is to help my clients make money. Really, they don't see that I'm
Yeah.
helping them make money, but when they sell their home
Yeah.
and they sell it at a quicker time, and yet the value of it has gone up, it makes me happy because like they spend the money that they spend getting me to renovate, but then I increase the value of their house, and then by the time they sell it, they're making money. They get to live in a house that I built that is custom built to them. They got to enjoy it and live in it for a few years and make a few extra bucks.
Yeah, and you're helping them as part of that. So
it's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
And then what's next?
and they come back to you, repeat referrals or repeat business, right? Because
Yeah.
they recognize the value that you bring for them, or you provide for them.
It's been good. Yeah, we're getting like more and more repeat clients, and just bookings. Just be patient. A lot of times, like things don't happen over a course of like a short period of time. Just you got to plan these because there's a lot of money involved and it's a lot of people involved. Everything is just slow process. Like if you try to hurry, try to move ahead, you're gonna move a few steps back. Slow, steady wins the race.
Got it. Okay.
And then we just try to help coordinate and plan everything.
Yeah, you're the project manager, right? So you generally provide guidance on how to do everything.
Yep.
For the listeners out there that are interested in getting a career in the trades or getting into contracting, how best, and any words of advice for those?
The best advice is to be patient, really.
Be patient.
Like,
Okay.
in the building, it's a craft. Like if you're trying to get ahead of yourself and try to build too quick, a lot of times you have to overlook things. But if you have a little bit more contingency and are a little bit more patient, so usually you'll get what you want, and usually you'll get back more than what you put in with a little bit of time.
Yeah. So be patient.
Some builds just take a lot longer because materials take a lot longer to order.
Yeah. Has that backlog been cleared up ever since COVID, or is it still just as bad?
No, it's still pretty bad. But like the only thing we could do is just slowly plan things. Okay. Yeah, some builds take years to plan. Like there was one project that I did last year. They had that project planned for about 4 years before they executed, but it was really trying to know what you want first, and it's better off that way. To know what you want and then to execute.
Got it.
Yeah, but always have contingency because that's something that will
You never know what's
save you
gonna
a lot of
happen, right?
headache.
Yeah.
Yeah. or I would say like that contingency could be like if you're planning, say, to spend 150,000, just put it as 125,000. Okay. Keep that 25,000 as your contingency.
As a contingency, as a backup.
Yeah, as a backup, because you always will have open a can of worms.
Yeah,
there'll always be surprises, and
you never know what's behind that drywall. So
most times my clients spend more than what they estimate, and that's always the case. Yeah. Because most time a quote is just an estimate until you get into it. That's when you actually know, okay, I got to do this extra, I got to do that extra. Yeah. In order to close it off, because behind the walls could be a lot of missing items. Yeah.
Got it. So be careful,
like
guys.
Staying ahead is like having contingency.
Yeah.
And like sometimes time too is a contingency. Right? If you're closing a little bit too early and you have a lot planned, then you run into a tight schedule, and not a lot of people have time.
Yeah. And speaking of time, that actually wraps up our session for our podcast today. So thank you very much, Cam, for coming in, sharing your experiences and your wealth of knowledge. And, for anyone that's looking for, a 5-star certified licensed contractor, please find him. You'll find his links down below. And to our listeners, thank you for joining for today's episode. If you're looking to buy, sell, and invest in real estate, you know who to call. Give us a 5-star review, and your support means the world to us. Remember, guys, dream it, believe it, achieve it. Go out there and achieve your potential. Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. We'll talk soon. Cool. Hi, I'm Tim Kern, and I proudly lead the TimSold team. We're voted as one of the top 3 brokerages in Markham, and we will sell your house fast and for top dollar with the least amount of hassle, or we guarantee to buy it. Call us today and start packing.